guys, and welcome to Janet being Janet. Okay, I said I wouldn't do this again, but Miss Katie uploaded another video mentioning Taylor. And this time we're gonna get completely rid of everything besides what pertains and is important. Okay, Miss Katie? Alright, I'm just gonna go ahead and let you join me, but in case you found me, it's going to say subscribe. Make sure you do that because you never know who I'm going to be talking about. All right, shut up, Janet.
Hey, besties.
We've gone over this over and over. Yep, I need to just leave it alone.
It's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Well, Blake Lively's attorneys were super busy last night, flipping out because Wayfair had exposed them
Which means if there's a lot going on, you were flipping out too.
for issues related to Taylor Swift. For a very long time, they had been trying to tell the public and the courts that it was Wayfair and Wayfair alone that was bringing in Taylor Swift to the case.
And all you want is to get a little bit of behind the scenes with Miss Taylor, huh?
Which we all know is false because it was Blake that was on the promo tour talking so much about Taylor, saying that they were together, hand in hand, shoulder.
You talk a lot about Taylor too. It's kind of like you've made her a part of this case when she's going hands wiped clean.
To shoulder, and that she was with her through it all. And it was Blake that represented to Isabella Ferrer that it was Taylor that cast her in a film. And it was Blake that name dropped Taylor all over the place when it came.
Yes, I'm very well aware of that because I can't tell you how many videos I haven't done where you were talking about. But I was going to say Blake, I mean Taylor.
Came to music and creative decisions. So there was a lot that was going on here, and it certainly wasn't Wayfair bringing Taylor into the mix.
It was Blake. You've said it over and over. You repeat yourself a lot, and I will say it over and over just to keep your videos longer.
Wayfair had provided a string of attachments when they were fighting against this protective order for Taylor Swift's emails. And they...
Oh, guys. She's like, I don't need text messages. I want them emails now.
Stated that Blake had just only a few weeks ago or a week before amended her initial disclosures. And it said documents and communication.
Oh, great. Here we go. Here we go again. Let's just read and I'll interrupt her as much as I can.
With Taylor Swift, who, according to Lively's amended initial disclosures, has knowledge of the party's alleged conduct.
Yeah, you don't say that word often enough. You need to get practice in.
Complaints or discussions about the work environment or conduct on the set of the film, the production, editing, cut, creative process associated with the film, publicity surrounding the film, the retaliation.
You're boring me already. You really are. You have such a monotone voice and you don't put any in anything so nobody can jive with you.
Campaign alleged by Miss Lively and the resulting damages suffered. So she represented to Wayfair that Taylor was a witness that had...
Hey, I thought Taylor was a dragon. That's what I thought, so I guess I'm wrong.
Relevant information, and she put this in her amended initial disclosures, and including the production, editing, cut, creative process associated with the film, which...
This is in a prior video, Miss Katie. Get some new content.
Wayfair has said all along that Blake was representing that Taylor was more involved, and Taylor's representatives has said back in May when they were subpoenaed that she had no involvement, that she didn't make any creative decisions. She had...
Okay, so all of this was going on back in May when you started talking about Taylor and everything you're wanting exposed for her, on her, with her, whatever the case may be, because it's a juicy.
No part of editing. She didn't casting. So it's at odds with what Taylor has said. Well, they wanted a protective order, and Wayfair was saying, well, we're only asking for this because she put this in her amended initial disclosure.
Hey, get your words before you start talking and teaching everybody the ins and out of this case.
And she says she has relevant information that she can provide to us about her emotional distress claims. Kevin Fritz also told the court that...
Oh, that's your favorite person now. You just kicked Friedman out the door.
On May 22nd, Ms. Swift's attorney notified Lively that no communications between Ms. Swift and Ms. Lively had been provided to the Wayfair party.
Hey, where are you reading that at? Are you finally keeping things off the screen? Is that what you're finally doing?
Because nothing had been produced. So when they contacted them later that day and demanded that they hand over any documents, Fritz says they already knew that no such documents were in their possession.
Oh, here we go. This is more on brand for her.
And then he said that he contacted them on June 12th to talk about her amended disclosures and the communications with Miss Swift.
You know, I was down in the comment section and I happened to read someone saying that they was an attorney and that they're proud of how Miss Katie is handling all this. Oh my goodness gracious, if people only knew.
And that they had a scheduled meeting, and then only a few minutes before the meeting, they filed this motion for a protective order. And then when they were trying to talk on the phone on June 13th,
we're not going to get into the whole discussion of restraining orders and things like that and bad mouthing people. We're not going to get into all that, Miss Katie.
They refused to discuss the issue and told them that they could deny the motion or, go to the court and dispute the motion. And it says on the phone call,
Hey, show me where you're at. Come on the phone call. See, you're going to catch us up because you're so far ahead.
Explained to Miss Lively's counsel something that they already knew. The Wayfair parties are entitled to communications between Miss Lively and those non-parties identified in her amended initial disclosures as having discoverable information.
Hey, she's reading really, really fast. Yay! But at the same time, she's putting irrelevant papers up on the screen because it's not going with what she's saying.
So when someone files a lawsuit in federal court, within, I think, the first 14 days...
You think? Oh my goodness gracious, you don't know for sure? As much time as you spent on this, you should be well versed.
You have to do what are called your initial disclosures, which you have to tell the other side who are the people involved in this case, like your witnesses or other people that have information.
Okay, let me just say and get my intent out of the way. This is for entertainment purposes and entertainment alone. Don't send hate to anybody. Just stay down below. And I'm on here just for a little bit of fun on YouTube. That
could be used to support your claims or your defenses. And so they have to send them a initial disclosures list, and they have to provide names.
You have been watching other attorneys. I can't say other. You've been watching attorneys. So that's where you get some of your legal jargon for. Jargon. There we go. Hi, I'm Janet. I'm normally this way.
And addresses and phone numbers of any individual that's going to have discoverable information along with the subjects of that information that the disclosing party may use to support its claims.
Hey, woman, I can read. I'm pretty certain that your audience can read. Put the daggum papers up there and then just give just a quick overview about it, or say your opinions and go on about your way.
Or defenses, unless the use would be solely for impeachment. So if Blake names Taylor as having relevant information...
Hey, you want the judge to recuse himself because Blake was seen with all these people. It's not happening the way you want it, huh?
What Wayfair can do is they can ask Blake to provide information about between her and Taylor that is relevant to the claims in the case.
Who gets to decide what's relevant and what's not? They would actually have to see the text messages most likely. That's just my thinking pattern.
And according to her current lawsuit and what she disclosed Taylor would know, she said that Taylor knew relevant information about misconduct on the set and was able to provide information about emotional distress.
You're basically saying Taylor Blake, I'm sorry, was behind the wheel of that bus going forward and backwards to make sure her point got across.
And the damage that it caused to her.
The damage you have caused for your I can't even think of it. Goodness gracious, it's just you as a person. It's a characteristic for you.
Because of an alleged smear campaign. So the quick recap is on June.
Really? Really? Okay, I don't want to see no more papers up there on that screen, Miss Katie.
12th, Kevin Fritz brings up what Blake Lively had provided on her amended initial disclosures. He also brings up her limited production, and he says he wants to talk to them on the 13th, and then they have it scheduled.
Okay, so whenever you're saying basically it's supposed to be short form. I give up. It's too early. But anywho, you're supposed to give it a short form of, just straight on the line. Still sounds like you're reading.
The next day, and before they even have the meeting, then they run to the court and file for a protective order for Taylor Swift's communications, even though that was on the email of what he wanted to talk to them about.
Have you got a hold of them emails yet? I can't talk for Jack Diddley Squad this morning.
At that meet and confer, basically not allowing them to have the conversation. And so she bypassed the meet and confer. And so now Blake's team is going to respond to that. And they're now trying to say that they're trying to distance themselves.
Hey, when you don't know exactly what you're going to say, you trip over yourself worse than I do, Miss Katie.
Wayfair is from statements that they made publicly that they got exactly what they wanted. And the statements that she's trying to tie them to, Ezra are insider quotes not attributed to literally anyone.
Hey, you have a bunch of insiders, don't you? And you say you have your own sources, too. So you're just making bank on these kind of videos.
So it could be somebody that knows someone who knows something.
Imagine there's somebody out there that knows something. Okay.
We don't know who said what, and it's not attributed to anyone on the legal team. So they're trying to say that this came from Brian Friedman, but yet Brian Friedman is not quoted as saying it.
And you know every single word of every single paper that's ever written in front of you off of Pacer, right? All right, keep us in tune with the lawsuit.
So that might be difficult for them to prove to a judge. But again, this is Judge Lyman. I don't know how he's going to rule.
Yeah, that's judge that you were putting down. My opinion, my words. Calling them little cookers, but okay.
But they said, as to Lively's motion for a protective order, the Wayfair parties argue that Miss Lively is bound by her amended initial disclosures to produce all privileged communications with Miss Swift.
Hey, if you're going to read the papers, do it faster. Come on, I forgot to put you on 2 times speed.
They provide no authority for this proposition. If including an individual on a party's initial disclosure binds a party to produce all non-privileged communications.
I really don't care for the word for word, Miss Katie. Put your opinion in there. And alleged. Make sure you use that word.
With that individual, the Wayfair parties would have agreed to produce all communications as between each of the Wayfair parties. On the other hand, and the 137 non-Wayfair parties identified on.
I'm just sitting here going, where she's reading, you done lost me because I don't like it.
On their initial disclosures on the other. They have not. So they're kind of deflecting here. It's like, it's just a non-answer, really.
Hey, I have a question for you. When are you going to start doing more Sister Wives content? Yeah, that's a serious question because I don't see much of it anymore.
Well, Wayfair hasn't disclosed any of their witnesses. which doesn't really answer the question.
What's the question? What'd I miss? Is it questions you're asking? Most likely, because you're a journalist. And a celebrity. Y'all remember that? She gave me a promotion to being a reporter.
That's my opinion. Instead, Rule 26 contemplates initial disclosures as a mechanism to ensure timely disclosure of names and identifying information for each individual likely to have discoverable information.
Didn't you just put this up on your screen, or is this something else? See, I can't pay attention to all the words. I just try to listen to her voice.
To be clear, Ms. Lively supplemented her initial disclosures to include Ms. Swift after the public representations that the Wayfair parties got exactly what they were seeking.
She's putting emphasis on this, guys. Y'all get it in your head. Come on.
Were provided with everything that they needed and got exactly what they were hoping for and much more in connection with Miss Swift.
Yeah, that's what you're doing, hoping that you get so much more out of this case. And it's kind of sad.
Which suggested that they would be producing information in connection with the case. So they're taking an out-of-court statement by an unknown insider.
Kind of like a source. You have sources all the time. Yeah, that happens. I don't see how or why, but that happens.
To prove this argument to a judge, which is a little bit difficult. And then they're saying that Blake only included it because of that, which doesn't make sense.
Most of the things you say don't make no dagblame sense. That's why I just listen and interrupt you.
If their attorneys, Venable and Swift's attorney, told them that they got no information, then technically that's true. They got no information. Now, from Wayfair's point of view.
Yeah, you're always speaking for Wayfair. It's like you're part of their team.
I know a quote, one of the quotes was that they got what they wanted. Taylor Swift denied that she had any involvement in the case.
Hey, are you reading that word for word, or are you putting your own spin on it? Because that ain't cool.
Because that was the public statement. A public statement was made by Taylor. It says, we didn't do anything with creative. We didn't do any with film. We didn't do anything with that. So that could have been what they were seeking.
Yeah, you could just also say Miss Taylor had nothing to do with it and shortcut it, but you can't.
A denial, because it proved Blake was lying. But they don't put that in here, and I believe that's actually in that same article.
Hey, I think you're lying every time you say love you, because you never said it before you started covering this case.
That they keep referencing. But again, this bait and switch cannot provide as a basis for them to obtain discovery on what the Wayfair party supposedly already had. The Wayfair party's speculative argument that Miss Swift's communications theoretically...
You know, if you weren't reading this kind of stuff, you couldn't use these big words. And that's pretty sad. You're like, I gotta go look this one up real fast so I know what I'm talking about. You still ain't got that degree, though.
Could have communications relating to Miss Lively's emotional distress does not change the calculus. For starters, the Wayfair parties appear to be attempting to bring a cross motion to compel far more than communications with Miss Swift relating to Miss Lively's emotional distress.
Hey, you're about to make me yawn. Come on, put that twist and shout it on it.
Meaning, under the most generous interpretation, their attempts as to discovery in connection with Miss Swift are wildly overbroad, and their focus on emotional distress is simply a post hoc rationalization for those requests.
Get yourself back on camera. No more excuses of you're scared. Get your face back up on camera, because I want to see the facial expressions you're making while you're talking about this.
Further, the Wayfair party's position that Miss Lively and Miss Swift socializing at dinner would yield written communications on the topic is nonsensical. Instead, they have stated, when recently explaining the state of play as to Miss Swift,
you have a problem with, I've said this makes the second time in a video, but you have a problem with who Blake went out to eat with. It all just travels back to the judge. If I remember, I'll post that video I did for you.
This is what Brian Friedman told to Megyn Kelly. There's a short leash on how far we can go with discovery. I think the judge has made it very clear
Hey, you forgot the Yeah, gotta say
that, third parties need to be directly relevant in the claims. And we think certain third parties are.
Hey, and we think certain. If you gonna read it right, Miss Katie.
Directly relevant, but it's just whether or not you need that evidence in addition to what you have already.
Oh, you couldn't read that last word, could you? You're like, my next thought's already in there because I got to badmouth someone.
They're trying to say that this implies that they had evidence from Taylor Swift, but what I felt like he was saying, and this is what I mean, is like, if they already have all this other evidence.
Hey, don't you mention feelings. You didn't feel nothing. Wait, you felt your wallet go ching, ching.
That isn't pertaining to Taylor. They have to decide, well, do we need Taylor's communications or do we not?
See, this is why I can't edit anything out of this video, because she'll just talk about Taylor just randomly.
Because if we have all this other evidence from other people that supports our claims, do we need her? So that's what he's trying to say is like, do you need to add that if you don't?
So in other words, a question is being asked. See, I can form this so easily, but you just can't.
For the reasons stated in her motion, the court should hold the Wayfair parties to these public representations and conclude that the issuance of a protective order is appropriate to protect Ms. Lively from the unreasonable cumulative discovery that, as counsel for the Wayfair parties appears to recognize, denying motion to compel discovery.
Hey, you missed a whole lot of numbers and a whole lot of words. If we're going to read it, we're going to read it, Miss Katie. Quit shortchanging people over there.
That is unreasonably cumulative of information already produced in discovery. So their argument again is that Kevin Fritz is lying under oath in a sworn declaration that he has no information.
Quit stepping on the words, Miss Katie. Figure out what you're gonna say kind of along the lines, because you ain't good about just words like I am.
From Taylor. And they're again trying to say that they already have this information, even though Wayfair says we don't. Really, their argument about this Taylor Swift stuff hasn't changed.
Have y'all I keep pausing it, but I got thoughts. Have y'all noticed with Blake's picture and Ryan's pictures and things like that, she makes them horrible. But when it comes to Taylor, yeah, she's doing nicer pictures of Taylor. You don't want those Swifties on you.
They don't believe them when they say that they don't have information from Taylor, even though Kevin signed a document that said they don't have it. Her attorneys told them they didn't have it. And so they're trying to claim that because of some insider making a vague statement, this is proof that they have it.
Hey, just so you know, you have insider sources and all that all the time, and you don't tell anybody about yours, do you?
So that's why Blake shouldn't have to disclose it. They argue that the cross motion is improper.
Hey, sounds like you're getting tired of yourself.
And they're providing no support for their position that she must produce some subsets of information in advance of others, as they are well aware, despite being...
Where are you reading that? I don't even keep up with you. I just don't. I wait for, I think, my opinion or something.
In a single individual, she has produced more than anyone else in the case. Then they tell the court that she already made a production last Friday and she's going to be continuing to produce.
Are we on a different page now? Miss Katie, you're confusing me, so stop it. Woman, goodness. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
And then they go into the hard bargaining, I guess, is what Judge Lyman has referred to Blake, where she's being requested to give something. And so she in turn then says, well, then you need to do this for me.
Okay, an eye for an eye, a scratch on the back for a scratch on the back. I ain't saying it's right or nothing, but still, that's what it sounds like.
Hard bargaining, I guess, is what they call that. So they tried to get them to compromise about Blake giving them what they need. And I'm thinking they want some of this ahead of her deposition.
Hey, she said I'm thinking. Okay, my wheels are turning.
But what she wants from them is the following: an attempt to resolve.
Stop it. Don't read. Stop reading. You can tell when you're reading because your words flow, but your opinions don't.
The issue earlier this afternoon. Miss Lively proposed to the Wayfair parties that they produce all video footage related to the film, some of which they have selectively released to the public since January, but not produced to Miss Lively.
Hey, I don't know where you're at. Where are you at? Are you on the same page as me? I don't know that you are.
Full unredacted versions of communications that are excerpted in the Wayfair party's amended complaint. And
I wanted to make fun of that word she just said, but I don't know where it is.
Exhibit A, each of which is responsive to her request for production. And in return for mutual production on the categories the Wayfair parties identified, all by the end of next week. And the Wayfair parties did not agree to any production in advance of July 1st, thus there's no basis.
Hey, I don't see the point of these pages up on the daggum screen. Take them down. You don't need them.
For the request to compel Miss Lively to do so. What I find odd about that whole letter is that on the one hand, she was accusing Wayfair of seeking more information in their cross motion than what was sought related to the protective order.
Well, aren't you kind of, sort of, maybe thinking wise that the judge is doing something bad? I do believe so.
So she said, well, Wayfair came here to fight the protective order, and then they did a cross motion compelling her to produce everything else. And then to make it even more confusing.
Sorry, my phone was going off. Yeah, kiddos, right?
They then bring in their own argument with Wayfair and said, well, we'll produce that if you produce this. And so then Stephanie, the one that did the Van Zandt Inc. sham lawsuit.
Is that the one that you found and you went all over Insta and you were going, hey, shout me out, I got it first. It's me.
She comes in with her declaration, and she's going all the way back to March 24th, only to add more confusion. And it's to show them that they're not producing documents.
Hey, I'm going to go hide my head in the sand in a minute. Seems like the right thing to do.
It's like this has nothing to do with what Wayfair is seeking. It's just sort of like a retaliatory response. It's, well, they didn't give me this, so why should I give them that?
One didn't pat the other one on the back.
And now you can understand why it would be really exhausting to be Wayfair, because any time they fight back, this is how they retaliate, and they make them.
Retaliation, in my opinion, is something that you will do if you need to.
Look like the bad guys. So she goes back to March 24th. She claims that they've been asking for all of this, the audio and video recordings, the notes and production logs concerning intimate scenes related to the film, whether or not included in any cut of the film.
How do people watch you? How do they do it? I don't get it. I won't get it. I've never gotten it after I found out the truth of you and the way you do things.
And then on number 23 for Tag Nathan and Abel, for Baldoni, and Sony, WM Jones Works, any media outlet of any kind, any social media accounts or influencers or other individuals who maintain a public presence, or any cast or crew members.
You know, there are some people that don't like Katie's voice. So I have a couple of people that will take the extra effort and wait till they see my mouth moving, then they'll turn the volume on. I'm not kidding. Her voice has been described as a lot of things to me.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
So they're telling them that they want all of these documents and that they haven't given them to them yet. So when Wayfair says she won't give us any information about damages, she won't give us any information about sexual harassment.
Quit. It's SH. SH, because you don't want to trigger anyone.
They come back, well, they won't give us information about this. They won't give us information about that. On June 17th, I was copied on an email from my counsel to counsel for the Wayfair parties asking when they intend to produce the footage and full unredacted versions of communications.
Hey, just so y'all know, I'm just telling you, I don't know what day I'm going to get this edited, but still, today another year kicked me in the butt.
The Wayfair parties amended complaint and Exhibit A. My co-counsel suggested that the parties could agree to a mutual production by the end of this week so that aforementioned categories in exchange for the categories identified.
Who cares right now? Who cares? Raise your hand in the comments, which I know half of you aren't here anyways. Because I've gotten to where I don't take anybody serious here.
By Wayfair parties in their cross motion to compel. That same day at approximately 8:45 p.m., counsel for the Wayfair parties indicated that they will produce the documents by the July 1st substantial completion deadline.
Why are we still reading? Should I read it? Make your videos like 15 minutes long. That's all you need. Just recap it all. And there'll be a lot more happy people. Because people like me don't like listening.
Counsel, however, did not indicate that they agreed to a mutual production along the lines described in paragraph 3 and did not agree to make the production in advance of July 1st.
Hey, y'all never do it, but let me just say, if there is a different way you want me to do Miss Katie videos, just let me know. Because me doing this is kind of fun to me. Oh, my bad. I ain't gonna lie. Hope that wasn't loud. Shh. Okay, we're gonna hit play.
So their whole argument here is basically that, well, they're not willing to give us information, so why should we give them information? To again, just make it look like Wayfair's not complying. It's just adding in more arguments so that Wayfair is looking unreasonable.
Hey, you know how slow you're talking. Do you notice that? I notice at least I'm at mine. But I notice the more and more she talks, the more and more I can usually tell what she's doing.
And truthfully, they don't have to really negotiate anything here. If Wayfair is seeking these documents, they don't have to agree to compromise.
And I don't have to agree to do this, but like I said, for entertainment only.
They can still ask the court, right? And I think they're probably wanting this because of the depositions.
I just thought of something else. I thought of it. She's not saying like half as much anymore. She's got a couple of new words she's stuck on.
And Kevin made clear in his email on the 12th that unless they can come to some sort of agreement about when she's going to disclose this, that they'll have to take it up with the court. So they knew that a motion to compel was coming.
Yeah, you know a lot's coming in your court case, but you always file for dismissals because that's what you want.
Knew it, which is why they ran to the court for a protective order. And then now all of this is just trying to confuse the court again. And again, trying to say the double hearsay, they didn't deny it. I feel sorry for Wayfair, to be honest.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No. Because you haven't ever, felt sorry for a lot of people on Sister Wives, and you haven't showed empathy. You just get upset with people. So that is my opinion on that matter. Goodness graciousness.
So Blake's team is panicking. They're trying to lie about why they brought up Taylor. They're trying to blame Wayfair for out-of-court insider statements that are not attributed to anyone on the team.
Is that hearsay? Is that from a source? Where's that from, Miss Katie? You should know all of this. You should be able to answer my questions.
So, with that said, there's also a response from the judge on the motion to compel, which we were talking about yesterday. And
Yeah, you had plenty to say about that one, didn't you? And like I said, I did a video over your Instagram, so I knew about it before you even brought it to YouTube.
And it went denied in part, granted in part. And this is what it was about. It had to do with those emails, it had to do with content creators, and it had to do with reporters.
You do understand you're just a no. Y'all missed that part of me, haven't you? You do understand that all you are is a content creator, right? Because nobody else sees you any other way.
And he agrees with Wayfair that Ryan Reynolds is not a part of this lawsuit.
Then why do you keep trying to loop him in with Blake at the same time?
And so he cannot seek any discovery at this point in time. And they were looking for a count interrogatory, which says identify an email account from May 1st, 2024.
Hey, do you not know what that means? Is that the reason why you're going to have to read this? I don't know. I'm just asking a question.
The date in which any third party, including but not limited to content creators or media, had access for the purpose of communicating information of any kind, including messages, talking points, guidelines, scripts, or information.
And Miss Katie's probably like, they're not referring to me. I'm not included in that. I ain't got nothing to worry about.
Regarding Miss Lively, Mr. Reynolds, the digital campaign, and the CRD complaint or actions. And Reynolds provided that to each one of the Wayfair parties, but Lively only provided that to TAG. And while this motion to compel was pending, the judge actually dismissed all of the claims against Reynolds.
Okay, so is that a win or is that a lose? Which way do you view that, Miss Katie? Because I don't think you like Ryan either.
They did grant leave to amend certain claims, but as of right now, Reynolds is not a party. And then the Wayfair parties agreed that TAG would provide a supplemental response to Lively, and TAG responded. And
hey, you're tripping up again. Come on, Miss Journalist.
None of the other parties responded because it was impermissibly vague. And they said it's denied because the wording of the interrogatory is sufficiently specific to enable a targeted response.
Do y'all know how many people enjoy this over in her comment section? They just love it every time she uploads. And me, I'm just going, she's at it again.
By the parties. However, Reynolds is not entitled to responses to this interrogatory because he's not a party. And as a party, Reynolds would be entitled to discovery relevant to any party's claims or defenses, but there are no current claims or defenses in the case which he was formerly a party, and therefore...
Hey, guys, I am so amazed at myself that I've made it this far in this video, having fun, pretty much talking to myself. I said I wasn't going to do another one like this, but oops. The words keep flowing.
Or nothing to which discovery would be responsive. The mere possibility that amended complaint may be filed is no basis for the court to compel discovery regarding issues that are not pending and may never be pending before it.
I feel sorry for any young kids that are watching her. I really am. Because she doesn't come across and display herself and project herself as this overly caring person.
Reynolds may renew the motion if, after filing of an amended complaint, the requested information is relevant to a claim or defense in an action where he's a part. And then when it comes to Miss Nathan, they told her no. And so there's nothing for them to give.
Okay, we reading or we not reading, Miss Katie? I need a think. I guess I need a something like that.
And it says it's denied as moot for TAG.
Moot, oot, and quash are her favorite words now.
Because they responded. She expresses dissatisfaction with the response, and the court understands TAG to have construed the word access to include login credentials by placing information in a draft folder.
Hey, don't start boring me. No, you need to get a little bit of different tone in your voice. Come on, you can do it.
And thus and they said no. And they said to the extent that TAG has answered the interrogatory falsely or inconsistent with that understanding, other remedies may be available. But she said that none had been accessed, and then he's leaving a door open.
All right, you're skipping on your words, so that means you're trying to form thoughts as you talk. Okay, it's better than seeing those words.
In the event that Tag is lying, but that's ridiculous. And when it comes to disclosing what reporters they have talked to since the filing of the motion, with Wayfair sort of mocking this idea that there's an ongoing smear campaign.
I'm kind of mocking you. It's morning time. I'm in a good mood, and I hope everybody that's made it this far, I hope that y'all have a good smile on your dagblame face already.
The judge didn't decide the truth or the falsity of that. He just said that they can seek information from Wayfair up until the present when it comes to if they've spoken to any reporters. And that information can be used by Blake to prove whether or not the smear campaign is true or false.
I thought you said there is no smear campaign. I thought you said it wasn't worth talking about because it didn't exist. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't follow her correctly, but I do believe that's what she said.
The ongoing aspect of it. It would be really stupid if they were doing anything behind the scenes.
Professional journalists right there. Stupid. I always say, duh.
At this point, so I highly doubt that they're going to get anything from that. And making comments publicly by attorneys is vastly different than the parties involved in this case saying anything at all. So Wayfair does have to provide information about what reporters they spoke to.
Miss Katie, it's time to end it. Yep, you've talked enough about the same thing and repeated yourself enough.
If any. And here's the thing. A smear campaign itself, the word is not actionable. Speaking to a reporter and answering questions is also not actually actionable. In the United States, we all have an opportunity to say whatever it is that we want. Freedom of speech.
Oh, you don't let people have freedom of speech. No, you do not. You don't like criticism. You don't like none of that. I keep everybody welcomed in my comments because I think if you disagree with me, you're teaching me to see things another way. Not her.
Defamation is only actionable if it's what you're saying is knowingly false or you're spreading information with reckless regard for the truth.
You know, somebody one time told me that Miss Kaiti would come after me for slander. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. I'm just sitting there going, I ain't doing nothing. I just speak my feelings.
Truth. And so you didn't do any verification of what you're saying. And then with public figures, you have to prove malice. So speaking to a reporter in and of itself and being honest and truthful.
Hey, what's the definition of that, Miss Coyote? Can we ask you questions and you answer?
Isn't a smear campaign. And just saying something negative about someone doesn't mean that it's a smear campaign. It doesn't mean it's even defamation.
Hey, you remember those words. You remember you said that because a lot of times you don't.
Because it can be your opinion, and opinions are not actionable. It would be like me saying, I don't like Ryan Reynolds. He can't sue me for saying that. That's my opinion. So I don't look at that as necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think they're doing it.
My bad. I don't know where we were at, so I'm going to return just a little bit.
Doesn't mean that it's a smear campaign. It doesn't mean it's even defamation, because it can be your opinion, and opinions are not actionable. It would be like me saying, I don't like Ryan Reynolds. He can't sue me for saying that. That's
okay, well, I don't like Miss Katie most of the time.
my opinion. So I don't look at that as necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think they're doing it. So if they have to hand anything over, I don't think they're going to find any evidence of a smear campaign.
Okay, so you've already said this. You make me repeat myself by telling you you've already said this.
And then they will just have to identify the reporters that they've communicated with in any manner. And then as far as the content creators, it said Lively asked Tag if she's spoken to anyone, and Reynolds asked all the remaining Wayfair parties. And they have agreed to define the term content creators to mean any individual or entity who seeds, generates, creates, or influences social media content.
Hey, okay, yep, here, I'm a content creator. I'm guilty, 100% I'm guilty. I always say I'm not a reaction channel, but I accepted that too.
Content or provides related digital or social media services.
You haven't gone on live on Insta in a long time, Miss Katie, and you have a lot of new people over there. I think it's about time.
Motion is granted as the content creator interrogatory propounded by Lively to Tag, which they stated is not hopelessly vague or unduly burdensome, does not include any person who can generate, create, or influence content, but only the much smaller subset of those who do.
Lady, you don't listen when I call you anything else. So I'm just gonna tell you, you've got roughly 5 minutes left, so I can't give up yet.
So on the behalf or at the request of a given Wayfair party. So at the request or on behalf, meaning they sought out a content creator and asked them to put something out for them.
Was it you? I bet it wasn't you. So you're feeling a little bitter Betty, aren't you?
And if they didn't do that, it's going to be simple. None. So, and if they did, they just have to say who. And she's only asking Melissa. And then with regard to Ryan, it's denied because there's no claims against him.
Okay, so we're back to Blake and Justin now, because there's nobody left. But I'm sure you're going to tie somebody else in there.
I know some people will be upset with this ruling because they'll say, well, why do they have to disclose the names of reporters? Because that's one of her claims is a smear campaign. Why does she have to disclose information about a content creator? Because that's about the smear campaign.
Okay, so somebody would have to release the information on you if that's what's requested. So it just depends on what you're going after. Is that what you mean, Miss Katie?
And why does she have to do it after? Because she claims it's ongoing. Whether or not that's true or false, it comes down to discovery, right? But what I will say about discovery is, and lawsuits, and just what I would say, my advice.
Oh, here we go. Her advice, not her attorney advice. Her advice
is that if you don't want your words to come back and be put into another filing, just don't comment on the lawsuit.
You just hush your mouth. You just hush it up. I tell myself to shut it up all the time.
Right? Anytime you say something publicly or speak to someone about the lawsuit in a public manner, whether it's through a reporter or a content creator, they'll bring that to the court, which we've seen over and over and over again on both sides.
Haven't you tried to get your name into something or got your name into something? I can't remember exactly what you did because you're doing so much.
Anytime a statement is made, it shows up in a filing by one of the lawyers. Now, Blake is trying to attribute an insider quote to the Daily Mail as coming from one of the lawyers.
Oh, so they didn't come to you. Well, don't blame it, Miss Katie. They just keep passing you up.
Right? But they have said that's not true. Speaking to a reporter isn't necessarily a smear campaign. It depends on what it was that you said to them.
Why are you giggling? You're giggling, aren't you? Yeah, you think you're smarter than everyone else.
Information provided. Simply repeating your opinion isn't a bad thing. It's not actionable. Smear campaigns and speaking negative about someone is also not actionable.
So you just remember, if I'm just giving my opinion and only my opinion, you need to roll with the flow.
And if they're responding to something that your side put out, it's as simple as saying, we spoke to this reporter after you issued a statement to them, right?
So now you're telling other people how to talk to reporters. But you're a reporter, right?
It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing, and it doesn't mean that a smear campaign happened. It's my opinion.
Oh, here we go. here we go. Come on, Miss Katie, say something good.
That Blake and Ryan view any discussion about them that isn't positive to be defamatory, and that's not what defamation actually.
Did anybody give you a mirror yet? I think I told somebody to make sure you know what a mirror is. Yeah, people don't listen to me. Don't ever listen to me because I just run off at the mouth.
Is freedom of speech allows you and I to speak without consequence so long as what we're saying is true.
Oh, okay. So if I give my opinion and it's true in some way, that means I give a true opinion, huh?
And with public figures like Blake and Ryan, they have a very high burden that they have to overcome to prove defamation because they have to prove, like Wayfair.
Hey, don't say like. You've been doing good. Don't say like. I got that out of my memory and it needs to stay there.
Would have had to prove. They have to prove malice. And malice is an extremely high hill to climb. It means that you either had to do one of two things. You had to say something that you knew was not true.
Yeah, but you just, when you do it, you go back and correct yourself over on Insta. You don't bring it to YouTube, though.
And you did so with the intent to cause harm, or you spread something without regard for whether or not the information was true.
Yeah, like I just said, kind of like Jim Bob speaking to Dillard, and yeah.
Which again is the intent to cause harm. But if you simply share something that you know is true, or if you share something that is your opinion, that doesn't qualify as defamation.
And you would know, Miss Katie.
Now, if you accuse someone falsely of a crime, like Ryan did, but you believe it to be true, according to this judge, that's apparently not defamation.
And we know you don't like this judge. You don't like a lot of people in this case.
Because they claim it's his opinion, and he believed it, which I don't know about that. But either way, Blake's team is obviously panicking.
Yeah, well, I think you're going to panic if this thing goes away and you don't find another case to cover because you were reality TV.
Because they are now caught bringing Taylor back into it, and now they're trying to flip the narrative and say, well, they're the ones that told us they had this information because of this unnamed third party that said that they got all that they needed.
Miss Katie, hurry up, finish this. Come on, get on the ball.
And so we shouldn't have to, provide everything because they got what they needed. And we don't want to give anything to them because they haven't given anything to us. How the judge will rule on that, I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you finally said I don't know to something. I know it's not a fact then.
He could, again, he might just say no to all of it. You know what I mean? Like denied. Or he might say granted. This is the joy of discovery. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't tell you, but.
Yay! You just confirmed you're not a lawyer and you're just a YouTuber.
I just think that there's so much gaslighting that goes on, and Blake's team is very good at confusing the judge. So don't be surprised if she gets a protective order for Taylor, I guess. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens.
You keep saying, I don't know. If you don't know, then you just don't need to say anything.
But to me, I don't really care what happens because Blake just proved that she's scrambling and panicking. So what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below.
Hey, I've already told you my thoughts, but guys, you get in that comment section and tell me how you like this video. I just had some fun, and I hope as long as I'm having fun, you're having fun too. Because that's just the point of this. Yeah, sometimes there's something wrong with me. Because me listening to Miss Katie, I can chuckle sometimes. But alrighty, guys, I hope you have a good day, night, weekend, holiday, year, whenever you might be watching this. And remember to smile today or make somebody else smile, because it really can make a difference. Okay, thoughts, feelings, everything down below, so I will know if anybody is still interested in all this. Because, you know, like I said, I kind of do it for your entertainment. But all right, guys, y'all make sure you have a good one for me. Bye.